All right, stand by. 10 seconds to go.
Talent.
Ready, camera.
Record.
3, 2,
1.
1. Roll for record.
Greetings and thank you for joining us. This is The Rundown, where we run down some of the big stories making news. I'm your host, John Phillips. Joining us from Dallas, Texas is PJTV contributor Scott Ott. And here in Los Angeles, we're joined by stand-up comic and PJTV contributor Steven Cruiser. Now it's time to go to the top of the rundown. I think he's training for a marathon over there, but Cruiser, you're up first.
At the top of my rundown, the Pentagon isn't shy about saying it needs more money than what current budget caps allow. Pentagon officials say several years of cuts have taken their toll on the ability to meet future threats. Deputy Defense Secretary Robert Work says the military needs to rebuild after 13 years of war. President Obama sent Congress a budget proposal that calls for a Pentagon base budget of $534 billion, plus $51 billion in funding for wars overseas, mainly the war in Afghanistan. John, the war we're not really fighting and not calling a war. Should the Pentagon be treated like separate for budgetary issues because of what its goals are, what its purpose is, or should it be lumped in with everything because be forced to endure spending caps because it's still a bloated bureaucracy that can run amok sometimes?
Well, there's cutting fat, and then there's cutting muscle and cutting bone. And we've cut muscle and we've cut bone with the military. To look at the numbers of our warships right now compared to where they've been historically is pathetic. It's a military that we use and we use frequently. We're now expanding our fight against ISIS, where we could potentially put boots on the ground over in the Middle East yet again to go after this international terrorist organization. You can't keep using them without replenishing what you've taken out of it. And if you're going to extend them even more than you've extended them now, you need to dump more money into the process. It's no wonder that the military men and women end up voting Republican in presidential elections. When you look at the way that Jimmy Carter treated the military, you look at the way that President Obama treats the military, these people are overextended, they need more resources, they need more stuff, and there's also a new thing in Washington that's become very popular. It's to go after the brick and mortar types of infrastructure of the past. They don't like to build things domestically because it hurts the environment. They don't want to put a fence on the border because, oh, the virtual fence is effective. No, it's not. The virtual fence was a complete abject failure. And to say that we don't need more warships, to say that we don't need more resources in the military is just a flat-out lie to justify the spending that they want to make in other facets of life and not on the military.
Scott, one of the ways that the Pentagon says we're falling behind right now is with technology, which is basically the only way that we are able to stay ahead of our enemies right now, given the fact that we don't commit totally to fighting them anymore. In technology, if you fall behind for even a year, you're falling behind basically 10 years sometimes. Are we so far behind now maybe that we can't catch up and stay ahead? Because we've seen ISIS is pretty savvy with the tech right now. We're not dealing with just, the cave-dwelling people that we used to like to talk about. Have we done irreparable damage with these cuts the last few years?
Hey, I give you one example. Just a couple of weeks ago, the CENTCOM Twitter account was hacked. I rest my case. Right there, we are falling behind. If we can't secure the Twitter account for CENTCOM and some ISIS hacker got in there, that signals trouble, my friends. I can't understand why the Pentagon would need more money. Haven't our troops been brought home from everywhere? Haven't we shut down Gitmo? Aren't we pulling back? I mean, we're never going to put any boots on the ground anywhere. So how many millions of dollars are they spending on boots? We can save that right off the top. Frankly, in my view, 80% of the federal budget should be military, and the federal budget should be 80% smaller than it is now. And
to what Scott said about the Pentagon or the CENTCOM thing getting hacked, the White House has a new cybersecurity center that they're building and launching and staffing, and they failed to inform the House Intelligence Committee about it. So even when they're trying, they're not doing well.
Oh, boy. All right, Scott, what do you have for us?
Well, at the top of my rundown, presidential candidate Barack Obama lied. I'll give you a second there. I know this is going to be a shocking thing for you. Just take a moment. He lied specifically by telling blacks and Christians when he was running for president for the first time that he believed that marriage was heterosexual only and sacred. Now, David Axelrod, his old buddy, confesses on behalf of the president hasn't done so himself, acknowledging that Obama concealed his support of same-sex marriage so that he could get elected. Axelrod wrote about that in his new book that I care so much about. I don't know the title, and I will never plug it. Will the black and Christian politician, Barack Obama, pay a price for breaking the commandment, thou shalt not lie, to the base? And why are we hearing it now from Axelrod? I mean, do you think this is going to sully Obama's legacy in the eyes of Democrats, or will they justify his dishonesty because it was for a worthy cause?
Well, I think they all suspected that he was lying. Let me, in fact, ask both of you two questions real fast.
Okay.
Starting with you, Cruiser. Do you believe the president when he says that he has objections to legalizing pot?
No.
Scott, do you believe him?
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Question number 2. Do you believe the president when he says that he believes in God?
No, I think he's high.
Scott, do you believe him?
Excuse me.
I rest my case.
This, sadly,
There we have it.
this is part of what's wrong with American politics right now, is that it really doesn't matter that it's this president. We can say it's because of the cult of personality, but anytime a politician gets caught lying, the partisans will say, yeah, but that's what politicians do. There's this apathy towards lying now with politicians because that's what we expect them to do. We've lowered the bar so much that, you know, when they tell the truth, it's like, yeah, well, whoa, that's something different. So that, I think, maybe, just maybe, I live in this dream fantasy world where the electorate will one day, again, hold politicians accountable at the ballot box. Once it could happen. I've seen it's happened before. Could happen.
Now, guys, but this isn't like a Brian Williams lie. This isn't like conflating things after the fact. This is premeditation. This is you sit down with David Axelrod and you say, you know what, I'm a big supporter of same-sex marriage, and Axelrod says, whoa. Have you talked to anybody in the black church recently?
Well, let me flip it around for 2016. Do you believe that Hillary Clinton had moral and religious objections to gay marriage in 2008 when she was opposed to it?
How did you say moral and Hillary Clinton in the same sentence without choking to death? How did
Or
that
for that
happen?
matter, how about this? Do either one of you believe that Hillary was telling the truth when she said that she didn't believe, or that she believed in the Iraq War when we went in and she voted for it?
I don't. I think
all of those were political calculations.
I think she's the worst human being on the planet, and I never believe anything she says.
All right, moving on to the top of my rundown. Rosie O'Donnell will be leaving The View this week. Oh, Stephen Cruiser, you won't be able to set your DVR and watch her sitting up there barefoot, stroking her cloven hooves. The 52-year-old said that she's leaving to concentrate on her health and her 5 kids. In 2012, she suffered a heart attack. She recently split with her wife of 3 years, Michelle Rounds. O'Donnell left this message for her fans on her YouTube page talking about the decision. Let's look.
I spoke about all the reasons, so you can Google, why Rosie's leaving The View. People have written articles, people have made guesses or interpretations, but the truth is I had a heart attack 2 years ago, and stress is very bad for heart attack survivors. You should minimize your stress, maximize your exercise, and control your diet. That's what you need to do for a healthy heart. So that's what I'm doing. I'm minimizing my stress by leaving The View. And the stress that I'm having at home is not as easily remediable. Is that even a word? I don't know. But, it's hard. Marriage is complicated, and I've got 5 kids. 4 of them are teenagers. And, there's lots of stuff going on at home. And there's lots of stuff going on at work. And the only thing I can really control is the work by leaving. I can turn that volume down all the way to 0 and just focus on what I need to focus on, which is my health and my family. And that's it. So there it is. I don't want to talk about it on The View, but we're talking about it right here for you. Okay?
There you have it. Sitting around a table, shooting the breeze for an hour, that's what caused the heart attack, not being a middle-aged woman in George Wendt's body.
Wow, that was when you get dark in a hurry. No, she had the heart attack before she went back to work there. She had 5 kids before she went back to work there. All of this was before. She's acting like these things just came up. She woke up one morning, she's co-hosting The View, and whoa, what? I got 4 teenagers here. No, what that was a very lengthy, wordy way of saying, I found out this is Whoopi's show now.
You know, Scott, what this is really about, and I've worked in this business now since I was 19 years old, there are people that are very difficult to work with. And when the numbers are good, the ratings are good, you put up with it because the show's making a lot of money and you're bringing in all kinds of awards and everyone's happy, or everyone's happy enough to put up with it. But when the numbers aren't there and you're working with someone who's poison, who is a horrible person and makes everybody miserable, you just don't put up with it, do you?
I don't know, John. I'm still on this show. I don't understand what you're talking about. You know, I don't even talk about you behind your back. I mean, everything's going to be okay, and I don't feel stressed. That's the funny thing. Reminds me of something that Michael J. Fox said once, years and years ago, before I knew that he was, you know, politically problematic. They were asking him about how he coped with the stress of being in show business, and he started laughing, and he said, "What stress? I get up every morning and I go in and I pretend to be somebody I'm not. How stressful can that be?" I mean, it's a goof, he said. And yeah, I think this comes across as disingenuous, exactly as Cruiser said. I mean, like, you know, did the doctor just call her the other day and go, "Oh, by the way, I mentioned obesity and smoking and drinking as risk factors. I forgot to mention stress. You probably should quit your job." It doesn't pass the laugh test.
It drives me nuts when people in any facet of the entertainment industry pretend that they have really stressful, strenuous jobs. Okay, this ain't coal mining. This is like,
Yeah.
it makes me insane when people say to me, "Well, stand-up must be hard." Well, no, it's not. Actually, it's pretty easy. Sitting around talking is easy. So I go absolutely ape when I stressful. It's terrible. It's oh, go dig ditches. Shut up.
Do you ever work with her in the comedy clubs?
I don't even think we've ever met, which is weird.
Huh.
I think she was in New York a lot when I was in LA a lot, and vice versa. I don't think I've ever met her, which is odd because we're old people.
All right, PJTV viewers, we want to know why you think Rosie O'Donnell's leaving The View. You heard her answer, but you tell us the truth. Leave your comments in the comments section below. I'm John Phillips for Stephen Cruiser joining me in Los Angeles and Scott Ott in Dallas, Texas. Thanks so much for watching The Rundown.